Hello, good morning. That was kind of a quick and abrupt start, and I had to do that because everybody is so sensitive about music nowadays that I have to recreate all of my intros, all of my intro clips and videos to make sure that none of the music is copyrighted. Hey, Albert, my cousin, send me some tracks, man. Send me some tracks that I can license and use for my podcast, for my intro videos. How's everybody doing today? Thank you for joining me. Man, I feel so good. I've had, if you've been watching, if you've been following, did my half-mile swim yesterday after my workout and an intensive neurofeedback session. I had really good sleep last night. Yeah, excuse me. Still getting the morning out of my eyes. And I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody's doing very well. Today we're going to do neurofeedback to enhance athletic performance. This is one of my favorite protocols. It's one of my favorite shows, and it is real. You guys understand the history of how I opened up the Biomed RX Health Center. Neurofeedback was actually the first therapy that I performed and that I offered in the theater in the health center. And one of the things I first noticed about being a neurofeedback clinician is that neurofeedback, or EEG Biofeedback, is good for peak performance. It's good for making a healthy brain even healthier. Right? Just like exercise, you can use physical exercise to recover after an injury, to rehabilitate yourself, or you can use physical exercise to make good muscles even stronger, or a healthy body even healthier. And that's what I intend to do. But, of course, before we get into explaining how and where we place the probes and why and all of these beautiful things, I am going to have my morning Shilajit. I highly recommend Shilajit, Shilajit. It is a black tar resin that comes from the Himalayas, okay, and other regions of the world, and it is rich in minerals. It is rich in fulvic acid. It is, I guess you could say, the shieldized remains of plant material that has been crushed between the rocks and the mountains of the Himalayas. And it is very good if you are a person like me who has suffered from hypertension, high blood pressure. Shilajit, I'm going to give you my anecdotal. This is a very big dose, by the way. Don't try this at home. This is a super-sized goo gobber. You can start with a pea-sized drop of Shilajit, and this is hot water. And, of course, the Shilajit dissolves in the hot water. Okay? Shilajit raises your testosterone. Shilajit helps your blood circulation. It helps you with a number of things. I feel like a new man, to be honest with you. I feel 100% better. And of course I take it with a little honey, right? Little honey and Shilajit. It's actually not horrible. It's not a bad flavor. It's not like Harataki. But you know, honey mixes in well with it. Just a spoonful of honey helps the medicine go down. So we're going to talk about training the motor cortex. The motor cortex is the part of the brain that is responsible for movement, and it is right alongside the somatosensory band, which has to do with physical sensation. So the communication to your body, like if you put your hand on the stove and it's hot, and then you get that reaction to pull your hand off, that communication is sent to your body and it arrives, to your brain from your body, and it arrives in your somatosensory band. When you make a decision to move yourself, when you make a decision to move any part of your body, that command comes out of the motor cortex, which sits right in front of the somatosensory band. We're going to change screens and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. All right, so now here on this browser, let me go to first to show you where the motor cortex is. There we go. Now, you can see the homunculus, right? The homunculus, which holds the somatosensory band and the motor cortex. And you see how it goes right across the top of the head like a headphone, right? Like a headphone band, like when you're wearing your headphones. And the people that come to me for peak performance training, I have a lot of golfers, I have athletes, I have students. They want to be able to learn movement, repetitive movement, training movements faster, and to be able to do them more effectively. The area of the brain that would help you do that is the motor cortex. And you can see right here at this top illustration, follow my mouse with the finger here, the somatosensory band, cortex right there in the back in dark purple, and then the one that's in magenta or pink is in front, and that's the motor cortex. And you can see where on the motor cortex. I love these maps because it's so interesting to find out what part of the body is controlled by what, right? So now you can see the knee, the hip, the neck, the head, the elbow, the forearm, the fingers, the hand. And you can see the same on the somatosensory band. It's pretty much the same. Okay? Here, the eye, the nose, the face, the lips, the teeth, the gums, all of that. We already know where on the brain affects what. And we understand that the motor area right here, okay, primary motor cortex, premotor cortex, right there. This comes right over the head, right there, right over the ears, okay, right over the ears, right over the top of the head, just like a headphone band. Here's another illustration. As you can see, right between the frontal lobe and the parietal lobe, right here across the top of the head. That's your motor cortex. Okay? Now you say, well, does this make sense? Does it make sense to directly train there to improve physical performance? Well, there are already brain entrainment devices that are designed to prepare you for physical activity, one of which is called the Halo Sport. You see, this is a regular headphone, but you can see these little prickly things on the top that appear to be designed to stimulate the motor cortex of the brain in some way or another, right? So let's see what Halo has to say about it. Fair use, Halo. If anything, I'm going to help you sell more of these.
Halo Sport is a brain stimulator designed to help athletes, musicians, and just about anyone learn movement faster. All movement is learned through repetition. That's why training works. Halo Sport works by sending a small electrical signal to the part of the brain that controls movement, putting it in a state of hyperplasticity. This means your brain is primed to get more out of each training rep. so you can gain skill, strength, and endurance faster. Over 15 years of research and testing, and more than 4,000 peer-reviewed studies support the safety and effectiveness of HaloSport technology. Just wear HaloSport for 20 minutes during your warm-up, and for the next hour, your brain will be in a state of hyper-learning, so you'll see better results faster.
The Halo is about $750. I was going to buy one. I really was going to buy one. But the problem with Halo is...
What's going on in the brain when you learn? In order to learn anything...
I can't really use it more than once. I think they allow you one 20-minute session every 8 hours. And that's to prevent people from burning their brains out by overuse of the Halo. So I totally understand, but I can't use it clinically if I can only fire it up once every 8 hours. So unless they can figure out a way to override that restriction, which I totally understand why it's there, but unless they can figure out a way to override that restriction, then I won't be purchasing a Halo, because I can train my own somatosensory band if I was only concerned about my own training. And yes, here I'm also training the frontal lobe as well. Let's continue these Halos.
Whether it's math, a foreign language, guitar, or how to dribble a basketball, you need to create and strengthen pathways in your brain. Think about shooting a free throw. Know that feeling when you've got it down and don't even have to think about it? That's muscle memory. Here's the thing. Muscle memory lives in the brain, not the muscles. Your brain controls everything your muscles do, and it does this by activating specific neural pathways for each and every movement. These are functional pathways, neurons working together to achieve a goal. Say you're learning how to shoot a free throw. If it's your first time doing it, you don't yet have a pathway for that movement in your brain. You need to create it. Let's use an analogy to look at what's happening in the brain during this time. When you're first learning, your brain is like a forest full of trees and dense foliage, with no clear pathway between point A and point B. As you learn the mechanics of shooting a free throw, you create a trail through the forest. Now you can shoot the free throw because you've created that pathway in your brain, but you probably don't make many shots because it's so new. The pathway isn't very clear yet. In order to improve your free throw, you need to refine and strengthen the free throw pathway in your brain. The way you do that is through practice. Practice gradually widens the trail through the trees, turning it into a dirt road between A and B. You're starting to get pretty good now. You're making more free throws than not. You don't have to think about the mechanics as much. That's because the pathway gets stronger after each practice rep. And you've done a lot of reps. With even more practice, the dirt road turns into a paved road connecting A and B, allowing information to be transmitted at a faster rate. Now you're a 70% free throw shooter, and when you step up to the line, you don't even have to think about it. Eventually, with enough practice, what started as a trail has become a full-blown highway. Now you're a master, draining almost every free throw, and the movement is completely second nature. Scientists call this plasticity, and it's your brain's innate ability to create and strengthen connections between neurons. These connections are the path through the forest. HaloSport optimizes this process by temporarily increasing plasticity in the part of your brain that controls movement, so that your brain can create and strengthen these pathways faster than you would otherwise. We call this hyperplasticity. When you practice or train in this state, you're able to write muscle memory more effectively, allowing you to get that much more out of your practice. In terms of our analogy, HaloSport helps you build super highways of muscle memory at an accelerated rate. It's not magic. It's neuroscience.
Lisa saved my fiance. Dan is incredibly intelligent, super overachiever, but he was getting in his own way. He would have these dreams and trouble executing, mood swings, insomnia. Honestly, it was just really hard to be around him. We were desperate. I was desperate to find any solution that let Dan perform at work, but be less of an asshole when he comes home. with thesis
Excuse me,
and so much more.
Here at Halo Neuroscience, we talk a lot about neurons. But how do neurons talk to each other? Neurons talk to each other by firing an action potential, an electrical signal that passes from one to another. This takes energy, so you can think of a neuron firing like doing a pull-up. In order to fire, the neuron needs to pull itself all the way up. Neurostimulation with Halo works like an assisted pull-up for your neurons. The electricity provides a little boost to the neuron, so getting to the top of the pull-up is easier. Since stimulation makes it easier for neurons to fire, they can fire at a faster rate. As neurons fire more often, they're also more likely to fire together. And when neurons fire together, they wire together, building stronger and stronger pathways with each repetition. That's how your brain learns anything. And that's why neurostimulation with Halo helps your brain learn faster. Muscle memory lives in your brain's motor cortex. Motor neurons connect from the motor cortex to muscle fibers throughout your body. That's how the brain controls movement. Halo Sport optimizes this brain-body connection, and when paired with practice, neurostimulation with Halo Sport leads to gains in 3 key areas: skill, strength, and endurance. Skill. By enabling the brain to replicate a very specific command on demand, sports scientists call that boosting central pattern generation. Strength. By enabling the brain to send the strongest possible signal to muscle fibers, we call that increasing neural drive. Endurance. By enabling the brain to sustain the most efficient signal possible for an extended duration of time, also known as decreasing central fatigue. That's why practice matters so much. Practice allows motor neurons to sync up so that the brain can create muscle memory. That's also why coaches and teachers say practice makes permanent. With Halo Sport, practice still makes permanent, but at a much faster rate.
So you're already using ChatGPT, and while that's awesome, there is one little problem. You're not making any money with it. And I'll tell you right now what you don't need. You don't.
People ask us all the time, is Halo Sport safe? The answer is yes. TDCS, the technology housed inside Halo Sport, has been around for over 15 years, and more than 4,000 peer-reviewed studies have been published on it. There's even peer-reviewed research on the safety and effectiveness of Halo Sport itself. And here's something else to think about. Today, more than 85% of adults worldwide chemically alter their brains to feel happier, more energetic, more focused, and everything in between. But when you try to change the brain with chemicals, whether it's coffee, Adderall, or anything else, you can't control where the chemical goes. That's why side effects are so prevalent. Chemicals affect the parts of the brain they need to, and the parts of the brain they don't. Turns out there's a better way to talk to the brain: electricity. The brain is an electrical organ. Everything it does is the result of electricity flowing from one place to another. So why don't we talk to the brain with electricity instead of chemicals? Some people think this sounds scary.
Well, these videos for Halo are pretty interesting. I don't want to waste the entire time here talking about Halo, to be honest with you. And I don't want to get popped for sharing their stuff, right? So we're just going to transition out of that. And we are going to fire up Signet. As you know, I've already hooked up, as you can see, I've already hooked up my probes on the protocol that stimulates trains the frontal lobe and the somatosensory, or the motor cortex. The motor cortex is being trained. New neural pathways between the frontal lobe, which is the center of executive control and inhibitory control, doing what you're supposed to be doing and inhibiting yourself from doing what you're not supposed to be doing, right? And the motor cortex. This is good for learning as well, not only physical activity or physical training, but it's also good for learning, just learning in general. As you know, Signet is very resource intensive, so it takes a while to fire up the software. Very good glass of Shilajit. All right, so select myself. Okay, 2-channel synchrony. Slide up to 40 hertz and then arrow up to 50 hertz. Don't try this at home. It takes a long time. As you can see, the frequencies go up in increments of 0.25 hertz, a quarter of 1 hertz per click. And I suggest you take at least a week or two to train every day at that frequency until you're ready, before you're ready to move up to the next frequency. So yes, in order to be able to train at 50 hertz, it takes several months, all right, to get to that point. I'll explain that on another video. Feedback is synchrony. As you can see, the probes are here on my motor cortex. Select the flock and start the session. As you know, whenever you hear the gong, that means both hemispheres of my brain are working or in sync with each other at the target frequency, which is 50 hertz. There you go. Watery eyes is part of the training. It's not uncommon to cry or for your eyes to water. Let me see. The rain is coming down. I love it. I love it when I train in the rain. All right. Well, there it is. And a rainstorm occurred during my training. That was nice. I think it's still drizzling a little bit outside. Beautiful. All right. So, thank you. That was a good session, actually. Let's get back to action. Yes, yes, yes. Love the music. As you know, it's water soluble, but it's easier to take off with alcohol. All right. So thanks for joining me. I hope everybody has a great weekend. I'm not going to be doing any. Well, no, it's only 11:30. I may actually head to the gym now and do a little swimming or something. Maybe a little running on the treadmill. Do a little physical training now that I'm all hyped up and jacked up. Yeah, that's about it for today. Today was the peak performance protocol for peak athletic performance. I trained my frontal lobe against my motor cortex. All right. So do a little research on the function and the map of the motor cortex, and of course the frontal lobe, and a little bit of research on neurofeedback or EEG biofeedback. This has been the how do you call that? This has been Biomed RX Radio. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. All right. Thank you for participating in the peak performance protocol videos. I really appreciate all of the support. We're going to be doing more peak performance as the weather gets a little bit warmer. Right now, it's a little cold outside for me to go running, right? Just throw a little bit of my sound effects at you before we get off of here. All right. Beautiful. So anyway, I want everyone to stay kind because, you know, kind is not only the new sexy, kind is the only sexy. I want everyone to stay blessed, and I want everyone to stay healthy. Remember, you can always get some Biomed RX CBD if you're feeling a little stressed at biomedrxcbd.com. You can do some Biomed RX supplements. I think we're going to have some commercials about Biomed RX CBD and supplements as I close. And yeah, have a great weekend. I'm going to be going live again as I return to the peak performance protocol. Thank you again for watching Biomed RX TV. Peace.
Gold label quality Biomed RX CBD oil is made from organic hemp that is locally grown, glyphosate free, gluten free, non-GMO, homogenized, third-party tested, and CO2 extracted. Visit www.biomedrxcbd.com. Biomedric's Optimum Woman is the only woman's high-potency full-spectrum multiple vitamin supplement to contain 56 nutrients, including those most important for today's woman, such as calcium for bone growth, iron for healthy red blood cells, beta-carotene, biotin for nail and hair health, gamma-linolenic acid for baby primrose oil, octosapate, rapeseed extract, potent antioxidant and potent bacterial digestive enzyme. Visit www.biomasssupplements.com.